Learning and the Brain by Allison Lee. Education, whether public, private, magnet, charter, or homeschool, is part of life that we can agree that every person has experienced in some capacity. Take a minute to reflect on your specific learning experience. What do you remember about how you were taught? What do you remember about the way you formed new knowledge? I am sure that there are either very distinctly positive or negative feelings associated with these memories. There have been some very distinct ideas about how people learn that have changed over time. Let's take a look at the history of the different theories of learning. Before the dawn of traditional education, people didn't learn using complex theories and methods, but rather, as Barry Beers notes, people learned by finding someone who knew more than they did. Learning was very rooted in watching and participating in an activity. A young person would learn different survival rules from their elders. Once America hit the age of industry, education began to shift towards focusing on preparing students for life in factories. During this era, the theory of behaviorism, a model that is rooted in positive and negative reinforcement, reigned supreme. Learning theory changed again with the introduction of the computer. The information processing theory of education, which values how the brain processes information, was born as a response to behaviorism. This type of education correlated with the boom of technology, specifically when computers began to become more commonplace in classrooms. Finally, many modern classrooms base their practice on the socioculture model of learning. This theory goes away from the sterile informational processing theory and focuses on students as individuals and creating a positive learning community. But the question of how students learn best in this 21st century age remains. Although all these theories have their positive and negative attributes, which one makes most sense when looking at achieving student learning? To answer that question, we need to look at how the brain works. By focusing in on the brain, teachers take a deeper look at students and their learning processes. The brain is the most important part of the human body, and it takes quite a bit of human energy to run to its fullest potential. The brain uses 10 times more oxygen than any other part of your body, and 25% of your energy goes specifically to powering your brain. When teachers teach, they are accessing the cortex, which is made up of 4 lobes: the frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, the temporal lobe, and the parietal lobe. The frontal lobe is responsible for language development and emotion. The occipital lobe is the eyes of your brain and handles the vision. The temporal lobe does the hearing, and the parietal lobe takes in sensory information. In the brain are thousands of neurons. These neurons have a dendrite on one end and an axon on the other. When a cell is stimulated through the different avenues of the lobes, the dendrite picks up this information and the axon sends it to the other cell, connecting the two through a synapse. The more of these connections that are made, the better chance they will become memory.